Let's move on now to talking about working a room. I would want you, or something that I do is I try to go to a networking event or any kind of event, whatever, when it starts. I think that a lot of people, and they apply this to something social or business, but I think a lot of people, the majority of people, quite frankly, will not want to go to an event early or on time. They want to be fashionably late, right? I personally think getting to an event, and even when if you're the first or first few people there, that's great. And from a networking standpoint, you can use that to your advantage. So first of all, you get to the event when it starts. Well, it might not be real crowded at the entry or where you check in. You might be able to actually meet and talk to some of the hosts or people running the event. Those are great people to network with for a number of reasons. And then you enter the event, and odds are there might be people that haven't started conversations with anybody. There might just be a few other punctual people that are on time, which are very easy people to walk right up to start to network with. And then as people come in, think about if you've met all the early people, because it's real easy to meet people in the early time. Then other people walk in and you already know everybody. You're actually, one of the senior people there from a social status standpoint, because you know everybody. And then people are coming in and you're already surrounded by people that know you, and you can almost kind of take on a host role. So, well, I won't go into that in more detail. Just I think it really is a dynamic that you can use to your advantage. From there, or regardless of what time you end up getting there, you're going to be at a place or at a time where you're going to need to go and introduce yourself and make new contacts, right? So one place to warm up is you're going to see people that are standing alone. They might be eating something or looking at their phone or whatever. And so those are really easy people, like I said, to walk up to and introduce yourself to. Some caution there is that there might be a reason why they're not talking to anybody. So you might be prepared for either they might not be very socially not have great social skills, meaning you'll have to carry the conversation a little bit more, or they might be uncomfortable or nervous where they're at. Maybe you could help them to calm down, feel more comfortable, and you're kind of helping them from that standpoint. But anyways, sometimes the key people you want to talk to are actually not standing alone, whether those are high value targets, in terms of good referral partners or executives or whoever. But so another thing you can do to sort of end up talking to people is, kind of post up in high traffic areas, whether that's near the bar or near the coffee refreshments area. Sometimes you can kind of loiter on your own, and you're going to have people passing by or people that just bought their drink or just are filling up their coffee, and that's a real easy place to introduce yourself. Hey, how's it going? And whatnot. So the more challenging thing is and this is what happens if you get to an event where it's already established, is that the majority of people are in conversations. That's a more challenging situation because people are talking. You can just barge your way into conversations. People are talking and you walk right up, and I would say 50% of the time they will see you walk up and they're going to stop talking, and they will, there will be a place there for you to say, hey, how are you guys doing? Or they'll say, hey, how are you doing? They'll invite you into the conversation. And I would say another half of the time, or maybe 40% of the time, they're just going to keep talking to one another. You might walk up to like a group or a couple people and they don't even acknowledge you, and then you're just standing there, and you either walk away or you force yourself into the conversation. So I'm going to show you some slides on a process you can use for breaking into conversations here on the next slide. But the last thing I'll say on this is don't judge a book by its cover. So you don't look at someone and go, oh, they're not worth my time. You'd be surprised. You never know. Just because you should apply this to your life, really, but you never know what role they have or how influential they are in a particular area. Just network with everybody while you're there and try to meet as many people as you can. But now let's get back to breaking into conversations. So I actually recommend that you use a little bit of caution when you walk up to two or more people that are talking, because you don't know what they're talking about and you don't want to interrupt something that's really private or important. Meaning, most of the time, the people that are at an event and they're talking, most of the time they just met. they don't know each other, they're just jibber jabbering, it's not important, you're not going to interrupt anything, and they might even welcome, your addition to the conversation. So that's most of the time. But there could be some times where they know each other, they went there together, or they're business partners or whatever, or they're working on a deal. It's someone who is a salesperson and he just found a key prospect. Either way, there are some times where you might be an interruption and you might not be welcome. So you don't want to sit there and force your way into a conversation and cut off someone who's working a deal. This process here, I think, it provides you with permission, and it gives you a process that you can go through to work your way into conversations. But when you see like 2 or more people talking, you can walk up, and the step 1 is sort of apology and explanation. So they're talking, and you walk up, and you can interrupt them. You can say, "Hey guys," and by the way, I think you can interrupt them with this process because of the way it works. Let me demonstrate that. So, "Hey guys, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm just trying to meet most of the people here, and I just wanted to introduce myself to you all real quickly. Feel free to change 'hey guys' to whatever you're comfortable with, or whatever's appropriate." But so this is just a quick, and you're basically just getting in there real quick, and you're stating that you're going to be real quick. So now you introduce yourself. So look to the contact that's closest to you, and you basically just say, "Hey, I'm Michael Halper. Extend your hand for a handshake." Then they're going to respond with their name and shake your hand, and then you can ask, "Who are you with?" And I actually would say to you to ask, "Who are you with?" instead of saying, "What do you do?" because it's a quicker response. They can say, "Oh, I'm with GE," or instead of saying, "Oh, I'm a mechanical blah blah blah." So it's a quicker answer, and then you can say, "Great." And then you look to the other contact, and you can introduce yourself again. "Hey, and you say your name again, extend your hand. They'll shake your hand, then they'll say their name, and then you can say, "Who are you with?" And then again, saying this instead of what they do. Now at this point, you can basically at this point you can pause real quick, and then they're either going to ask you, "Who are you with?" or "What do you do?" And when they do that, that's the invitation for you to be part of their little circle. Or they're going to stand there and look at you. And so at this point, if they're not asking you questions or sort of inviting you in, you can then say, "Hey, well, it was nice to meet both of you. And again, I apologize for the interruption." And at this point, you can sort of start to rock your body, like leaning out to where you're about to walk away. And again, at this point, either they're gonna sense that you're wanting to talk to them, but you're not wanting to be an interruption. And then they'll either, if they realize that you're not interrupting anything and you're being a little overcautious, then they're going to say, "Hey, well, no, what do you do?" And they're going to bring you into the conversation. Or if they are talking about something and you were an interruption, but a real quick interruption, they're going to, accept your apology and let you walk off, and then you move on to the next group. So, take from that process whatever you like.